Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the wilds of Suffolk. I'm out here yet again doing what I do, walking along in beautiful locations such as this, and giving you my thoughts and opinions on things that are happening in the world and the public consciousness. If it's your first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoy what I'm doing today. If you're a returning subscriber, 1,394 of you, I think there are, welcome back, welcome one and all. It's an honour and a privilege to have you join me for these walks. Me out here in nature most of the time, it's just I realise that our time is our most precious commodity we have, and I appreciate you spending that time with me. So thank you. So today I'm calling this video "Ministry of Truth." Now, as I've stated many times before when I've done these videos, I don't expect people to believe a word that I say. I don't. I expect people to take everything I say with a grain of salt, or just to consider what I'm saying to be not true. I'm not telling you the truth. I'm telling you my version of the truth, which is mine and mine alone. You have to decide what's true for you. Now, I derive the things I'm going to say from my experience, from what I see, from what I read, from what I come into contact with. And we all do that. We all derive our own truth from the things that we come into contact with. And the way I try and structure and talk about the things I'm talking about is through that lens of, okay, I see X, Y, and Z happening, and report on it from my perspective. Now, the issue that we have at hand, that most of us have come into contact with at some point in our journey through this reality, if that's what we're calling it, is what's true, and where do you find the truth, and how can you ascertain what the truth is when so many lies have been told about, well, everything. And the purveyors of truth, or the perceived purveyors of truth, when they've been caught lying over and over and over again, how can you ascertain what's true? And where do you get that truth from? That's what we're going to be talking about today. So, I don't know whether you caught it, but Joe Rogan recently had a podcast with the supposed founder of Facebook called Mark Zuckerberg, or Zuckerbucks as he has been come to be known as, because he claims to have invented Facebook. Are you doing that? Claims to have invented Facebook. He didn't, but that's my opinion, of course. I don't expect you to trust my opinion, of course. Oh, fell down a hole. But to do your own research on this. Now, I've shared this on what's now called X, or what used to be called Twitter. There's a group called DARPA, DARPA, which is a Defense Advanced Research Program. Can't remember the agency, I think. And DARPA, look it up. And DARPA had a program called LifeLog. So I just got to adjust this again. There we go. LifeLog. And LifeLog was, well, go and read it. Go and put into Google or Yandex or whatever search engine you're using, and put in DARPA, DARPA, and LifeLog, and go and read what LifeLog's mission statement was, what they were trying to achieve. They were, intelligence and data gathering on, it's like a J. Edgar Hoover file on everyone in the world, who you associate with, where you go, what you do, what you spend your time doing, blah, 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 exactly what Facebook is. And the day that LifeLog was shut down, 2014, I think, is the day that Facebook started. Now, this whole backstory was created by, Mark Zuckerberg stole the idea from the Winklevoss twins and blah, 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 bullshit. Winklevoss, Zuckerberg, nothing to see here. The day that LifeLog was shut down, Facebook began, which was exactly the same thing, but packaged in a completely different way. Even made a movie about it, just to make sure that you knew what the truth was. And anyway, back to the point of where we got to with the whole Facebook thing. Joe Rogan had Mark Zuckerberg on his podcast to talk to him about his new guidelines that are being implemented on Facebook, where now we're going to tell you the truth. Yeah, sorry we suppressed all the information about the things that, you know, could have helped you, like, you know, that the things that the government wanted to stick in you, completely free, of course, and 100% safe and effective. Effective at what? Effective at giving you blood clots, or effective at giving you heart attacks, or effective at 11 or 12-year-olds dying on the football field. Yeah, it's completely effective. So this all came about because Zuckerberg came out and did a video that he released saying that Facebook was pressured by the Biden administration and governments from around the world to ensure that conspiracy theories and lies were not being spread on the platform. And he said, well, whilst we agreed in principle, you know, it got to the point where, you know, we couldn't, it was unconscionable for us to continue to allow it. Now, some welcome this news with great glee and, thank you, Mark, thank you so much for now not suppressing our speech after you've told us for years that you weren't suppressing people's speech on Facebook. Not just Facebook, we'll get to the other platforms soon, but we'll start with Facebook because that's the most notable of the social media platforms that has had this radical change of direction. Now, for years, you know, Zuckerberg and the Facebook platform, Meta, whatever they're calling themselves now, changing the name, changing their image. Yes, well, if we change our name and we change our image, people will trust us again. Nope. Sorry, Mark. You're a lying fucking scumbag. No one trusts you. We all know you're not human. No. Another story again. But for years they told us that no, they weren't suppressing speech, and it was all just the fact checkers were doing it. Yeah, the fact checkers, which was they were trusting the media to correct the wrongs that the conspiracy theorists were trying to reach people and tell them the wrong thing. So here we are, and Zuckerberg puts out this video and says, we were pressured by the government to do the things that we did. It wasn't our fault. We went along with it. Yeah, so a multi-billion-dollar company hasn't got the resources to get lawyers to help them to fight against the very government, the very government that they supported in the 2020 election with $400 million donated to the Democrats. $400 million, and Facebook openly admitting that they gave that money to help the Democrats win. They were the ones, the poor old Facebook, were under pressure from that government that they helped to get elected to suppress free speech. And now he's all apologetic and saying, no, it wasn't our fault. We didn't do that. Well, you did, because you openly said that you were helping to get him as elected. And the policies being that, we have to shut down those bad voices of those people who are telling mistruths or misinformation. Remember? I do. So, I mean, he's a lying piece of shit. And the only reason, and the only reason alone, that he's actually did that video and that they're changing the policy now at Facebook or Meta is because he went down, because Trump summoned him to Mar-a-Lago after his election win, where the majority of the country, and indeed the world, voted to put him in there. I mean, you know, with what we saw with you didn't need identification to vote in the election in America. Maybe we should have all sent in a postal vote to vote for Donald Trump from around the world. We'd have had 4 billion votes. But, of course, that's election interference, and we can't have that. You know, and everyone likes to complain, election interference. But meanwhile, the EU is saying, we won't allow the election in Romania to stand if we don't like the result. That doesn't sound like election interference to me. What does that sound like to you? And if you don't know about that story, please go and look. The EU official came out and said, we don't like who got elected in Romania, so we'll just, we'll get rid of that election, we'll have a new one for a candidate that we do like. That's never happened before. Like in Ukraine with Victoria Nuland. Never happened before. But the Ministry of Truth and the social media platforms and the media, the mainstream media, the lamestream media, have neglected to inform people about it, or allow that questioning to be broadcast, because that's misinformation or disinformation or wrongthink, as the Ministry of Truth would have you think. Now, if you haven't read 1984, you should, because it is the blueprint of, rather than thinking, looking at it as, okay, how do we avoid the totalitarian state taking over how we think and, what access we have to information. No, they used it as a blueprint for how to ensure that those same, that book was put into practice as being how we should model things into the future, with government in control. 2 + 2 = 5. Remember, boys can be girls, girls can be boys, boys are, it's was it Blur that sang that song? I think. Now, the Ministry of Truth, this centralization of information and the dissemination of information. Now, we've been told many times, well, you think it's all coming from the same place, Chris. You think it's all controlled by a central authority and they're deciding. No, that's not true, because you've got this paper over here, The Guardian. You've got that paper over there called the whatever the paper is, the Metro, or whatever, Washington Post, or the Washington Compost, or whatever the newspaper is where you're from. I don't care what part of the world you're in, they're all the same. And you'll notice it's almost word for word how they report on the things that they want you to know. Okay? Now, here in the UK, the Ministry of Truth would have you believe that there are no paedophiles in this country. There are No, we don't need a national inquiry. The Parliament actually voted against the national inquiry against looking into rape gangs operating here in the UK in towns where they were taking young girls, some as young as 11 and 12, and gang raping them. And they would have you believe that it was isolated, small isolated incidents where 90 men go on trial. For a long time, the police didn't want to do anything about it or say anything about it for fear of being cast as Islamophobes or even worse, racists. So it was all brushed under the carpet. Now, what I find offensive in this whole discussion, this whole argument, is this idea and this concept is that it's all Islam that's responsible for this atrocity of raping young girls and young boys. And I will steer you to some very well-known cases of that's not being the case. Now, what we've seen in recent times since X or Twitter or whatever we're calling it now has been bought by Elon Musk. Well, this is the thing that I find very, very funny. Elon, a billionaire owns the platform, so we can't trust that. But yet a billionaire owns Facebook, right? We can trust that one. And a billionaire owns all the newspapers. We can trust that one. A billionaire owns all the media apparatus. We can trust that one. And billionaires are operating the government. We can trust them. But billionaire owning Twitter? No, that's bad. Okay. Now, do I 100% trust Musk? Of course not. Of course not. Hell, I don't even trust myself most days. Trust is very thin on the ground nowadays. I don't know whether you're in the same boat as I am, but trust is very thin on the ground with most of the things I'm coming into contact with. So, I with the X platform, you're allowed to speak your opinion, because you should be allowed to. As offensive as it might be to some people, you should be able to say what you say, because if we can't have public discourse and discussions about the things that we're holding in our mind, and even those people that hold the most warped, disgusting viewpoints, you should be able to have public discourse, because it's only through that discourse and that talking and interacting that we actually come to understand where the problems are in our society. And, well, sorry, I didn't see you coming up behind me there. How you doing? Oh, hello, puppies. Hello. So it's through this discourse that we come to understand where the problems are, and we can discuss those problems and come to a reasonable solution that works with our society. But if we cut people off from that discussion, then those viewpoints and those people, if they can't express them in a verbal way, then it becomes physical, and people start to act violently or act in a way that is not conducive to a safe or operating functional society. Okay, so we have to have these discussions. Now, as we've seen on X, Twitter, whatever we're calling it, there have been I'm not allowed to say this, but I'll say it anyway, that Palestinian hostages were raped by Israeli guards in their custody. Raped. Oh, but that's okay, Chris, because they're animals, you see. Okay? And what we've also seen with the upper echelons of our society, where we have the likes of Jeffrey Epstein, friends with Prince Andrew, the king's brother. The king of this country, his brother, was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, stayed at his house in New York. That's interesting. We have the elite of the political society have flown to Epstein's island. What happened on the island? Well, what do you think happened on the island? We have his handler, girlfriend, whatever we're calling, Ghislaine Maxwell. Jizz everywhere, apparently. Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested. Ghislaine Maxwell, funny little creature as well. Her father, Robert Maxwell, Mossad and MI5, MI6 agent, spy, politician in this country, who mysteriously died while swimming in the water off his yacht called the Lady Ghislaine. Nothing to see here. So Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested for child trafficking to Jeffrey Epstein's island, and then we have a bunch of elite politicians, entertainment industry people, actors, singers, sports personalities, and the like, attending his island. But nobody, and I mean nobody, has been arrested or interviewed in relation to that, as far as we know, right? And then you have the other side of the coin, P. Diddy, or Puff Diddy Combs, or P. Dophile as we're calling him nowadays. He famously held parties where he would invite elites in sports and entertainment and politicians, of course, to parties that were not only hedonistic, but had children were available for people's entertainment, let's say. Okay, so we're led to believe in this country by the media telling you that it is an Islamic problem that is why all these young girls and young boys are getting raped, but that's not the case, because in the upper echelons of society, it is also a massive, massive problem. Now, that's not to downplay the people who were involved in these heinous crimes against children, but if you look at the media and the way that it's being portrayed, who owns the media, by the way? Who owns the top news media, either television or films or newspapers? have a look who owns them and where does that narrative come from. Now, I'm not going to speculate who owns them and who owns Pornhub. Now, well, the other day I watched a video. There was a rabbi talking about after the Second World War, when Hitler came into power, there was 2 rules that he implemented in Germany. That's not to say that Hitler was a good guy in any form or any stretch of the imagination. I have heard stories that Hitler was influenced by demonic energies, let's put it that way, that were conjured, good word, conjured, through their interaction with ancient sites and artifacts that they searched for all over the world. You know why? Which is why the Nazis were in France, why they were in North Africa, why they were all over the world searching for artifacts that they could interact with interdimensional entities. That took a sharp turn, didn't it? We were talking about Hitler a second ago, and the media, and then we're talking about interaction with demonic interdimensional entities. I mean, that's very, very strange, don't you think? But the Ministry of Truth would have you believe, and the Ministry of Truth being the media, the governments, the sports personalities, the movie stars, the singers and dancers and entertainers, who are your friends, by the way. Yeah, defund the police. Oh, why are you robbing our houses while they're burning? Those people. But they've got nothing to do with being part of the Ministry of Truth. They're not controlled like Kanye West trainer, who said, you know, you can go and read the text yourself. I mean, don't believe me. I'm a crazy person who's talking about interdimensional demonic entities taking over world leaders. I mean, that doesn't happen. That's crazy talk, Chris. Yeah, it is crazy. I know. Which is why I'm happy to come out here and talk about it, because it's. And as I was saying to a friend of mine the other day, I know how crazy I sound. The things I talk about, I know how crazy it sounds. I do. I recognise just how crazy it sounds. But have a look around you, in the world around you right now. How normal is the world? I mean, you know, you think I'm crazy? Have a look at the world. You know, you've got fires burning all through LA. You know, like climate change, completely climate change. Oh, there's your climate change, you know. You've got videos of people starting fires, okay? You've got videos from years ago where Trump was talking with Newscum. That's Gavin Newscum, for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about, who's the governor of California, who's saying to him, you need to clear up the forest and the forest floor. So, you know, when it gets dried out, you know, California's a warm, dry place. If you haven't been there, it's lovely, you know. Full of crazy people, but it is lovely. And he said to them, you need to clean out the forest floors so you don't have these horrific wildfires that come through, because you have periods of very warm weather in California, even now, you know, in the middle of winter for the northern hemisphere. You know, it does get warm and it gets dry there because it doesn't rain for long periods. So there's videos of Trump saying to him when he was in power between 2016 and 2020, you need to clean up the forest floors and you need to make sure that you've got water available. Now, what do we find? That climate change has obviously stopped all the water, and then it broke all the fire trucks as well, apparently. And in addition to that, it created the matches or the blowtorches that started the fires. That climate change is a pretty tricky business, isn't it? I had no idea that climate change was responsible for pressing a button on a blowtorch or throwing gasoline on a fire. But hey, what do I know? Clearly not educated. But maybe I should have gone to university to learn about climate change. So But the point being, all this noise we're hearing, while we're on the point of California fires, by the way, and the lunacy that has led to it and has propagated this whole thing, if we go back not too many years, in this country and all over the world, indeed it was all over the world, we had a slogan that was being bandied about by politicians and movie stars and the like, bankers. But there was a phrase, it was build back better. You remember that? Do you remember build back better? It was a slogan that was being bandied around at the time, and I was asking, what does that mean? Build back better. Build back better. Surely, in order to build something back better, you have to destroy it first, right? Right? Chaos is an agent of change, right? Chris, you're crazy. Yes, I'm crazy for daring to question the narrative that's being fed to us by a ministry of truth that is being led by people that refuse to look into child rape. How can I possibly deny that the truth that they're sending me is undeniable when that kind of thing's being allowed to continue? Now, build back better. Now, in California, if you don't know, LA won the 2028 Olympic bid. So the Olympics are going to be held in LA in 2028. Just in case you didn't know. And there was a smart city that's planned for LA to be built there. Now, obviously, those buildings and infrastructure that was in place in California, in LA, I mean, LA's a shithole. I mean, I really don't like the place at all, but sorry, Californians and LA people, but it is a shithole. It really is. It's a toilet. If ever the world is to have an enema, LA is where they'll stick the tube. It is horrible, but that's beside the point. If you have a look at overlay the map of where the fires are to where the proposed smart city and the rail lines for this new Build Back Better scheme, the proposed 2028 Olympic, the infrastructure is going to be built, is in exactly that land where the fire is. I mean, how fortunate is that? Where you have reservoirs that are empty, fire trucks are all broken, you have 3 women that are completely incompetent and have no right being in the positions that they're in. They're the scapegoats, of course. DEI hires. Didn't earn it. That's what DEI stands for, by the way. 3 completely incompetent people. So they can be the fall guys or the scapegoats for this whole thing. So they're all the blame. Oh, well, it's those 3 lesbians. What a denigration of lesbians, by the way. How to destroy your cause in one simple move. I have 3 DEI people that are completely worthless. So, they made their whole campaign about being lesbian. It's crazy. But yes, we have a situation where what we've been told by this Ministry of Truth about what's going on over there is a complete fabrication. I mean, you can see it's right in front of your face. I mean, if it was any clearer, you have to be brain dead to believe that this is climate change that's caused this. I mean, it's everything is obvious. And, it took me about 3.5 minutes of going and confirming on the interwebby, on more than one site. You can't go to one site and go, well, I've done my research. Of course. Go and have a look for yourself. I mean, I don't expect you to believe a word that I say. Of course, I never have, never will. Prove me wrong. I'm not invested in this. I'm not looking to make money out of this. I come out here, walk around in the forest, and I talk about my thoughts and opinions. That's all they are, my thoughts and opinions. Then you get to make up your own mind what you believe at the end of the day. It's not my problem what you believe. It's at the end of the day, it's your problem if you believe in the wrong thing and you are holding the wrong end of the stick when everything's on fire, including the stick that you're holding, especially if you're setting those fires. But look, that's a different point altogether. Now, what I didn't finish the point about the rabbi saying about what Hitler implemented in Germany, the first 2 rules that Hitler implemented in Germany when he took power. Now, for those of you who don't know, before Hitler took power, Germany was rife with what's the word I could use? Hedonism isn't quite strong enough. Perversion, perhaps. Perversion. I mean, Germany's pretty hardcore now, but back in those days it was even crazier. Like really, really off the scale crazy. Pedophilia, bestiality, sex changes, like really fucking just like off the scale. Crazy shit. So he banned all that. Now you say, I know what I'm going to hear next. Oh, you're talking about banning homosexuality? Well, no. You can be whoever you want to be. I couldn't give a rat's ass. What you do behind closed doors is not my problem. That's your problems. You do whatever you want with it. This is coming from the person who's partied like an animal. I have in my life done some, I've done some pretty crazy shit. I have. I've been to some crazy parties. I've been there, seen it, done it, got the t-shirt, got the jumper as well. But anyway. And I'm not saying outright banning anything, but when it is forced on children, and this indoctrination into our culture and of our children, into these ideas and concepts that are foreign to them, who are starting to develop their persona while they're growing up and understand who they are and what their values are, hopefully being instilled by the people around them, and not through internet trash culture where they're telling children you can be a girl, you can be a boy. It doesn't matter. You just make up your own mind what you want to be. But what you do behind closed doors in your bedroom with somebody else, not my concern. It's not anybody's concern. What you do in public, different story. So Hitler first banned the perversion that was going on, especially in Berlin. I mean, out of control, crazy. Weimar. Have a look at the history books. Like I say, I don't expect you to believe a word that I say. Go and look for yourself. And the second thing that he banned was charging interest on loans. Now, that was all run by a particular group of people that we can't talk about because they're a protected class. They're God's chosen people, remember? And if you dare discuss that, it's the worst crime you can possibly commit, to talk about a subject that is written into history. It's but the Holocaust, Chris. October 7th, Chris. Perpetual victimhood means that no matter what you say, they use it as a shield to defend themselves from any kind of criticism. And I'm not talking about the average person. Of course I'm not. I'm not talking about the average person that lives in that country that starts with an I and ends with an Israel. Whoop, did I just say it out loud? I'm not talking about the average person. I'm certainly not. It's like saying, well, the people in Australia are crazy. I mean, there's some people in Australia are crazy. And in this country, indeed, in England, and, all over the world, you have crazy people, usually running the governments. But the idea of saying that you're chosen by God to be special and everybody else is cattle there to serve you, if you believe that, then there's something wrong with your concept of humanity and where you fit into it. Those are the people that I'm talking about. The Zionists who think that they are above everything and above everyone, and they use a word called goyim or goy to describe the rest of us who are not of that persuasion, to describe us as cattle. Now, if that's if we think in terms of racism, okay, racism means that as a white person, I can't do or say something that another person can't. So I'm saying, okay, I'm free to walk around as a white person, and as a black person, you're not allowed. Okay, that's racism. I'm not allowed to say things that you're allowed to say. Also, it's about equality, right? Not equity, but equality, where we're all equal. Okay, where we start out as equal. What you do with your life, that's up to you, and how much you work, how much you put in, how much you leave behind, what good you do. That's where the equality comes in. It's what you're leaving behind and what you're putting into the culture and into the society. accepting what we're told through this ministry of truth, being the media, social media, the influences that come to us from all the angles that it comes to us from, the filter of that medium is where the problem is. Now, if we only have the filter is tilted, or is tilted or tinted in one way to suppress knowledge or information that goes against free thinking and free thought and free expression, then that isn't equality. That is suppression of information, and it doesn't serve us. It only hinders us to move forward as a society where we can understand each other and interact and move the world forward in a positive manner, rather than saying, well, actually, I'm better than you and you're a piece of cattle to serve me. Okay? Now, that's not criticism of a whole race of people or a whole religious sect or anything like that. But we have to be able to question the narrative that's being set to us and ask who is setting that narrative and why. And if you have all the newspapers and all the media and all the highly paid TV presenters, movie stars, singers, dancers, entertainment people, all singing off the same choir sheet where they use exactly the same words, I'm sorry, but that is a narrative that's been sown into the society to the detriment of society for the benefit of one part of society. The people who control the cattle. So, difficult subject material today, because when you start to question the reality that you live in, what you're being presented with, the information you're being presented with, and the truth that you're being asked to swallow and to accept as, don't question it, just say yes, just bow down, kiss the ring, and accept that what we're telling you is that these people over here, they're bad. They're the bad ones. But you can trust us. And there was one point during the interview with Joe Rogan and Mark Zuckerberg where he was talking about the media, and he said, so you have these people in the media that have been lying to us all this time, right? I love the way he did it. It was brilliant. He said, these people in the media have been lying to us all the time, and then they leave the media and they go out and then they expect us to accept that when they say, well, but we're telling you the truth now. And then looked at Zuckerberg, and Zuckerberg just sort of nervously laughed. He was calling him a fucking liar to his face, which is what we need to do. Because if you don't call out this corruption, you don't call out the bullshit, and you just accept this utter trash that's being told to you as truth, then, what is it? How's that saying go? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And here we are, still being fed the same line, and people are just accepting a hook, line, and sinker because they don't want to question it, because the questioning what we're told is a very, very difficult pill to swallow, because we want to accept that people are telling us the truth, and we don't want to think that the people that have been charged with keeping us safe and running the countries or our financial systems or the ministry of truth being the media, the entertainment industry, we want to believe that they're telling us the truth, because otherwise it's too uncomfortable for us to think about that we've been lied to all of our lives, and we don't want to think that we're that stupid that we've been lied to and we accepted it. That's a hard pill to swallow, and it's time to take our medicine and accept that perhaps all the things that we've been told have been bullshit. Everything. History, recent history, COVID, for instance, Trump, another one. All the things that were said about Trump, Russian collusion. I still laugh about that. It's just so, it's preposterous. Utterly, completely, disgustingly preposterous. Preposterous. Great word. Is Trump perfect? Oh, by God, no. Hell no. No, of course he's not. Has he got a lot wrong? Of course he has. He's got a lot wrong in his life. And to get to where he he is, to be in the position where he is, he's had to mingle with some of the lowest form of scum that has ever existed in this plane of existence, namely Hillary Clinton, that kind of filth that you'd scrub off the bottom of a toilet after some rank bottom-dwelling. I'm trying to think of adjectives that I can throw in just to make you understand just how lowly I think of the people that would whose friends, like the 57 or 60 something friends, have committed suicide. I mean, who are you keeping friends with? One of those suicide victims of that woman was found hanging in a tree with 2 shotgun blasts to their chest and deemed a suicide. No, I'm not suicidal. Never have been, never will be. Hillary, sorry, you can't suicide me, darling. If it does happen, then it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I feel like Shaggy now, But we've got to this point in our development of our understanding and our consciousness where the veil is being lifted from our eyes, and we are getting to see the underbelly of the social engineers that have steered our society to a point to the brink of destruction through how we produce our electricity. Everything about how our society runs is based on social engineers' view of how we should all live, and we are here as like in TheMatrix. I have to mention TheMatrix again. It's my favourite film by far. It's not a film; it's a documentary, by the way. Using us as batteries to run the machine that they built to benefit them, and that impoverishes the rest of us and keeps us as slaves in the system to only benefit a very, very small minority of the society. And if you want to be upwardly mobile, there's always checks and balances in place to make sure that you don't step above your station, of course. I personally don't adhere to those rules that they set, and believe that if we are willing to work and help lift others up and benefit our local communities and lift people within the community up, those people are willing to work hard and put in the effort to make our society better. I personally believe that that's how our society should work and function, and not to have a monopolistic, top-down controlled society of beggars and paupers, a feudal society, as Noah Harari would like, but a upwardly mobile society where we can all flourish and add something to society, benefit our local communities through our actions, through our thoughts, and through our deeds. And by their deeds shall you know them. So, I thank you one and all for joining me for this walk today. I know it's been sort of all over the place, and the world's crazy. It is crazy, and I would say that it takes a crazy person to know crazy. And as I've been labelled by everybody, that I'm utterly insane, totally. And I'm happy to wear the badge if that affords me the ability to use that nomenclature, those names that people want to call me, crazy, insane, conspiracy theorists. I'll take all that. If that affords me the ability to come out and talk about the craziness that we're all witnessing in our society, then I'll take it. I'll wear it as a badge of honour, and I'll come back to the jumper and say, question the reality that we are presented with, question the narrative, where it comes from, who's telling you the truth. The Ministry of Truth, they're telling you this is the truth this time. Really is. The bird flu is going to kill us all. So just take a moment, take a breath, get out into nature, and recognize that this is what it is. This is what it's about. Coming out to nature and walking around and getting some fresh air in your lungs, and taking the time to really examine your belief system and where that understanding of the truth comes from, And if it's coming from a source that's telling you that's been lying to you for your whole life, and, you know, easily testable whether it's lies or whether it's truth. You know, I come out here and I talk, and like as I profess, I don't tell you the truth. I come out here to tell you my truth. I come out here to tell you my thoughts and opinions. But pretty often I've got the what I've said has been completely correct, and it's validated for years now. For 4 years I've been coming out here and talking about digital assets and all sorts of things. So examine where you're getting your truth from. Examine what you believe and who's telling you the truth, and what you want to do from here on, how you want to examine and interpret what's being told to you, and what you want to take on and what you want to leave behind. And do that for yourself and spread the word with other people, because what I want you to do is go out into the world and do good, be good, and you can change the world with your thoughts, what you say, what you share, how you phrase things. I mean, if you want to get in a politician's face and swear at them because they deserve it, then do that, because I do that all the time, and that just doesn't hold me in good stead, because people are like, oh, you swear too much, Chris, and how dare you say those things about those protected people. If you don't do it, then it's just going to continue on the way things are, and it's, you know, I don't want things to continue the way they are, and you need to call out bullshit when you see it. If you don't do that, then look around you. That's what it's got us. So, you know, do that. Change the world with your thoughts, with your actions, with your speech, what you share. And most important of all, look after yourself, look after each other. And I look forward to seeing you real soon. Ciao for now.